Yeah, I mean, if some teams are going to go up, other teams are going to slide back. Some of those slides.
All right. Welcome back to the desk.
Here we go.
All right. I think this week we are going to talk about regression candidates. All right. What about some of the teams that you see kind of going backwards this year? Had a good year last year, but not thinking so highly on right now.
Yeah, I mean, if some teams are going to go up, other teams are going to slide back. Some of those slides are going to be unanticipated due to injury, but I think the Colts, regardless of when Danny Dimes comes back, are
Yeah.
probably a regression candidate.
Yeah.
I mean, this team, they're losing Pittman. Taylor's coming off of a year where he was fully used and abused. Daniel Jones coming back from an Achilles injury. That's tough. And they were really high flying last year. They finished as like a top 5 or top 7 offense, even with the Daniel Jones injury. So I'm seeing a good chance of this offense pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you look at Jonathan Taylor's history in the NFL, I I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments. I don't think he's played 2 consecutive years without missing time with injury. I'm serious. I
Yeah.
like with like legitimate time with injury. I don't think he's made it 2 straight years. So we talked earlier about Barkley, not having a great year after coming off a career year. I just I see the Colts regressing this year. I fully agree with that. 2, this might be a hot take, but the New England Patriots.
Ooh,
This is gonna be
spicy.
year 2 of the, Vrabel, McDaniels offense. Teams are gonna figure out Drake May a little bit more. I think the Seahawks kinda showed how you can come after May a little bit, as
I mean, it
well as
wasn't just the Seahawks. It was the
it was.
Seahawks and the Broncos and the Texans
Yeah,
all
yeah.
really shut that offense down.
So, I think and look at the receiver room,
Yep.
like, it's not.
Keyshawn Booty and Romeo Dobbs.
Look at their running back room. Like,
I like
there's.
I like Hendo and Henderson as
I do
a
too. I
or
do too.
Ramondre and Henderson as a
Ramondre.
decent
I do too.
decent duo.
But I think when you look across that team as a whole, it's kinda like that classic Patriots team, well, they had years of fucking Randy Moss, so maybe not. But there were years of the Patriots where you looked and you're like, "Wes Welker is their freaking number 1 dude and they're crushing it?" I don't see it as that. I see it as more of a Keyshawn Booty's their number 1 guy.
I think they had a really, really cake regular season schedule
Yeah,
that they made the most of. I
absolutely.
would be shocked if they returned to being a top 3 offense again this year, just because the strength of schedule is going to be that much
That much
harder
harder.
having gone to the Super Bowl.
They're in a pretty cake division. I mean, I'll give them that. The Jets are terrible. The Dolphins are gonna be probably the worst team in football this year. I'll put my stake in that. The Dolphins will be the
Yeah.
worst team in football this year,
Okay.
and the Bills are gonna be fine, but when
Yeah.
50% of your division is bottom 5, then but still, I don't think overall I'm not expecting a top 5 offense from the New England Patriots this year.
Yep. I'll just go ahead and take the other Super Bowl team then, the Seattle
Mm.
Seahawks. And I know we're going to catch some flack for Darnold did great with the Vikings, and now he's come here. This isn't a Darnold is bad take, okay? This team is a run first offense that got it absolutely going last year between Charbonnet and Walker and JSN absolutely torching everybody.
Mhm.
There's not that many weapons. It's like AJ Barner is their other offensive weapon. They've lost Walker. Teams are going to figure out how to deal with the offense that they're putting together, and they are going to have a tough schedule. I mean, you've got all the
In a tough
teams
division.
in that division, yet, and they're still going to have to play the hardest schedule in the league outside of their divisions.
Yeah.
They finished as like a top 6, top 7 offense last year. I don't think they're like bottom 10 or anything like that, barring major injuries, but I could see a slide. And look, I'm a JSN owner. It doesn't mean I'm going to go out and panic sell him all over the league, but I would be surprised if he put together another 22, 23 point per game
campaign this
season.
year.
Yeah.
This year. Yeah. But the dude's so young that it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I've got one that I just don't know about, but I could see it being negative. That's the New York
Okay.
Giants.
Okay.
So, couple things that I think are in the positive for New York. I do like their young quarterback. Neighbors is going to be healthy. Scatterbo is going to be healthy, and they're getting John Harbaugh. All that I think is good. The negatives, don't love their OC that they hired. We just
Nope.
saw what he did with the Chargers.
Yep.
And there is a kind of a classic year two regression with quarterbacks. And as good as I think Jackson Dart can be, I think teams are going to figure out how to get in his head a little bit, defenses, how to confuse. And I could see that being a little bit of a hit on Jackson Dart. So as a whole, I could see that offense being a little bit of a regression from that, what weeks 4 through 10 where the Giants are really kind of starting to find their stride last year. Could see that tapering this year as teams figure him out. But
Yeah. I
they could
agree.
also prove me dead wrong.
True. True. And I'll take a similar take as that with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think there are positives in that we're getting another year under Liam Cohen, uh, and Trevor Lawrence looked really good. At the same time, that offense did not look great with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. as the primary receivers. They're losing ETN, who I think was actually kind of the engine of making everything work for him last year. I'm not certain that they'll regress, but I find it hard to believe that they shoot up to that sort of top 5 range.
Right.
And I just don't know who in the offense to buy. Is Jacoby Myers cheap? I guess. Give me a
Maybe.
few shares. Is it Brian Thomas Jr. that maybe he returns to that superstar status? Maybe. But I'm playing it a little safe, and especially seeing Trevor Lawrence go in like the mid-second, or not mid-second, mid-third round of startups. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm buying at that price.
I do think BTJ could be an interesting one. I mean, we got him in what round of a startup draft this year? It
Like
was
the 6th. If he
6.
falls that far, I mean, come on. Right. But if you got to
Right.
spend your late 4th on him,
Yeah.
then it's a different story.
Yeah. But he's like one of the few guys who last year was a second round pick. People were high as a kite on this guy, like freaking Willie Nelson high on this guy. And owners could be sour on BTJ. But I do agree as a whole, the Jacksonville offense.
That's a video we should do. We shouldn't do it right now, but that whole range of wide receivers that could break out, the Egbuka, Ladd, BTJ, Roma Dunze,
Yep.
Luther Burden, we should cover all that range in an upcoming video.